Most people know Jamaica's stars, but almost nobody knows the families behind the money. In this video, we'll reveal the richest families in Jamaica and explore the businesses, investments, and decisions that built their wealth. Some names helped shape entire industries. Others became powerful without attracting public attention. But one family's rise stands above all the rest, and their story begins in a way few people would expect.
Number 9. The Holness family. This entry stands apart from every other name on this list because the wealth of the Holness family is not corporate wealth, but political wealth, a distinction that has drawn significant public scrutiny and ongoing investigation. Andrew Holness has served as Prime Minister of Jamaica since 2016 and led the Jamaica Labour Party to a third consecutive general election victory in September 2025. His wife, Juliet Holness, is a chartered accountant, real estate developer, Member of Parliament for St. Andrew East Rural, and Deputy Speaker of the House of Representatives. In their latest publicly available declaration to Jamaica's Integrity Commission, the family reported approximately $192 million in assets, much of it tied to real estate and business investments. Holness's declared net worth rose from $350,000 in 1998 to about $185 million by 2020, prompting scrutiny over what investigators described as an inordinate increase in wealth. Questions focused on AdMat Incorporated, a St. Lucia-based company linked to property purchases. Holness denies wrongdoing, and as of 2026, the investigation remains active. Official estimates place family wealth at $1 to $2 million declared, with questions around additional undisclosed assets that remain publicly unresolved. Number 8. The Kerr-Jarrett family. Drive east from Montego Bay along the north coast of St. James, and you are traveling through land connected to the Kerr-Jarrett family for generations. Their roots in Jamaican landholding reach deep into the post-slavery era, when influential families accumulated large tracts of land in the western parishes. As tourism expanded along Jamaica's coastline during the mid-20th century, those holdings became increasingly valuable. Paula Kerr-Jarrett, the most publicly recognized member of the current generation, is an attorney and philanthropist. She has noted that her great-grandmother was the first woman in Jamaica to run for political office, standing as an independent candidate in the 1944 general election. Through Mark Kerr-Jarrett, the family's control of strategically important land in western Jamaica has fueled an ambitious development agenda. Announced projects include a 1,200-home residential community, a 48-acre technology park expected to create 30,000 jobs, and a University of the West Indies campus designed for up to 10,000 students. Together, these projects are valued at roughly $500 million. While exact figures remain private, family wealth is estimated between $80 and $150 million. Number 7. The Grace and Kennedy family. GraceKennedy. On February 14th, 1922, Valentine's Day, and the birthday of his mother, Fred William Kennedy co-founded a small trading and wharfing company in Kingston with Dr. John J. Grace. Starting with capital of £25,000, the company received broad authority to pursue any commercial activity its directors considered worthwhile, a decision that would shape its future. Over a century later, GraceKennedy Limited has grown into one of the Caribbean's largest corporations, generating more than $1 billion in trailing 12-month revenue and operating across Jamaica, the Caribbean, Canada, the United States, the United Kingdom, and Africa. The business expanded from importing goods through Kingston Harbor into food processing, banking, insurance, remittance services, supermarkets under the Hilo brand, and hardware distribution. In 2024,
GraceKennedy reported Jamaican dollars $167 billion in revenue and pre-tax profits exceeding Jamaican dollars $12 billion for the first time. Though now publicly listed and professionally managed, the founding family legacy remains significant, with estimated multi-generational wealth of US dollars $150 to $250 million.
Number 6. The Issa family. In 1894, a dry goods and haberdashery store opened in Kingston, founded by a family that had arrived from the Middle East as part of a wave of Lebanese and Syrian migrants. Over the next century, those communities became some of the Caribbean's most influential commercial operators. That modest store marked the beginning of the Issa business empire, a name now deeply connected to Jamaican hospitality, petroleum retail, consumer goods distribution, and media. John Issa, the patriarch of the modern dynasty, built the Super Club's all-inclusive resort chain and is widely credited with introducing the all-inclusive resort model to Jamaica during the tourism downturn of the 1970s. By combining accommodation, food, drinks, and entertainment into one upfront price, he reshaped how the Caribbean hospitality industry attracted international visitors. His son, Joe Issa, expanded that legacy through the Cool Group, which began with a single petrol station in 1994 and grew into more than 50 companies. Today, the family's combined wealth is estimated between 150 and 250 million US dollars. Number 5. The Matalon family. In 1946, a company called Commodity Service Company was established in Kingston. It began as an import agency with modest ambitions during a period when Jamaica was still a British colony and economic power was concentrated in the hands of a few wealthy families. Behind the business was the Matalon family, whose journey from that small beginning would eventually create one of the most influential corporate dynasties in Caribbean history. Over the decades, Commodity Service Company evolved into Industrial Commercial Developments, and later, the ICD Group, becoming one of the largest companies ever listed on the Jamaica Stock Exchange. At the center of that legacy is Joseph M. Matalon, who has served as chairman of the ICD Group, the British Caribbean Insurance Company, and the Development Bank of Jamaica. He also led the Private Sector Organization of Jamaica, served as a director of the Gleaner Company, and became the founding chairman of First Angels Jamaica, the island's first formal venture capital network. The Matalon name was identified in Professor Stanley Reed's landmark UWI research as one of 5 families that dominated Jamaican corporate life at independence. Decades later, that influence remains significant. Estimates of Joseph Matalon's personal wealth range from $200 million to $3.5 billion US dollars, though lower figures align more closely with known assets. The family's combined multi-generational wealth is estimated at between $200 and $500 million US dollars. Number 4. The Ashenheim family. This is the oldest money on this list, and likely the least discussed. In 1841, Scottish-born physician Louis Ashenheim arrived in Jamaica as one of the first Jewish graduates of a Scottish university. He became a doctor and later editor and proprietor of the Daily Gleaner, one of the Caribbean's most consequential newspapers and among the oldest continuously published in the Western Hemisphere. The Ashenheim connection to the Gleaner extended beyond embedding the family early in Jamaica's institutional history. By the early 20th century, an Ashenheim chaired the Jamaica Telephone Company, one of the island's earliest major utilities. Sir Neville Ashenheim became Jamaica's first ambassador to the United States after independence in 1962, while also serving in the Senate and Cabinet. He was knighted by the Crown in 1963, but the most visible expression of the legacy is in corporate boardrooms. George Ashenheim, who died in 2017 at 84, chaired Caribbean Cement, Carreras Jamaica, and Lascelles de Mercado. In 2009, Lascelles received an acquisition offer valued at about $800 million, described as possibly the largest for a Jamaican company. The family's wealth, built across land, media, telecoms, and alcohol distribution over more than a century and a half, is estimated between $200 and $400 million. They arrived before Jamaica became a nation and remain deeply embedded in its commercial life. Their influence reflects enduring old money continuity, shaped by early institutional control and sustained presence across Jamaica's evolving economic landscape and global connections today, over time now. Number 3, the Blackwell family. There are 2 distinct chapters to Blackwell family wealth, and both are remarkable. The first chapter predates the one most people know. The Blackwell family in Jamaica accumulated its initial fortune through sugar and rum, the commodities that defined Caribbean economic life for centuries. That connection to the Appleton estate, one of the most celebrated rum-producing properties in the world, placed the Blackwells inside one of Jamaica's most enduring agricultural and commercial legacies. Appleton rum did not simply generate income, it generated a brand that has been recognized globally for generations and continues to command premium pricing in markets across the world. The second chapter belongs to Chris Blackwell. Born in London but raised in Jamaica, he took the cultural instincts shaped by his island upbringing and turned them into a music empire. In 1959, he founded Island Records, initially operating out of Jamaica before relocating to London. He signed Bob Marley and the Wailers when no one in the mainstream music industry understood what they were hearing. He produced Ike and Tina Turner, Burning Spear, Black Uhuru, and dozens of other artists across genres that collectively reshaped popular music. He sold Island Records in 1989 to Polygram in a transaction that generated hundreds of millions in proceeds. His estimated current net worth is approximately $300 million. He then built Island Outpost, a portfolio of boutique luxury resort properties in Jamaica and the Bahamas, designed around the idea that the best travel experience is one that feels like a private home rather than a hotel. He has been awarded the Order of Jamaica and inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. The Blackwell family's combined wealth across the rum heritage and the music and resort empire Chris has built sits in the range of $300 to $400 million. They are the dynasty that built Jamaica's agricultural wealth, then somehow also gave the world reggae. Number 2, the Stewart family, Sandals. At the beginning of 1981, Gordon Butch Stewart was handed the keys to a dilapidated hotel on the waterfront of Montego Bay. The property was in rough shape. Tourism in Jamaica was struggling. The political and economic climate on the island was difficult, and Stewart had no background in hotel management. What he had was an instinct for what people wanted when they left home and crossed an ocean looking for escape. He borrowed $4 million, hired architects, and reopened that broken-down property as Sandals Montego Bay. 3 years later, in 1984, he installed a swim-up bar in the pool. Nobody in the Caribbean had done it before. The bar cost almost nothing to build. The idea changed everything. Guests stopped leaving the pool to get drinks. They stayed longer. They spent more. They came back. And from that single insight, one of the most successful resort brands in the history of the Caribbean was born. Stewart spent the following 4 decades expanding. Sandals moved to Negril, then Ocho Rios, then across to Antigua, St. Lucia, the Bahamas, Grenada, Barbados, and Curacao. He built a parallel empire under the ATL Group, which included the Jamaica Observer newspaper, appliance traders, automotive dealerships representing Audi, Volkswagen, Land Rover, Range Rover, and Jaguar, and Island Roots Adventure Tours, the Caribbean's largest excursion company. By the time of his death in January 2021, the Sandals and Beaches portfolio had grown to 20 resorts across 6 Caribbean islands, with over 10,000 employees and an empire whose total value was estimated at over $1 billion. Butch Stewart was the first Black man to own a hotel in several Caribbean territories where he expanded. He started at age 12, borrowing his father's fishing boat to sell fish and ferry wealthy yacht owners to shore. What he built from that starting point is by any measure extraordinary. His son Adam Stewart now chairs Sandals Resorts International and the ATL Group, having run the company operationally for years before his father's death. The Stewart family's combined wealth, built across 40 years of resort development and diversified into automotive, media, and adventure travel, is estimated at between $600 million and $1 billion. They are Jamaica's most visible private dynasty, but they are not the richest. Number 1. The Lee-Chin and Chen family. In 1983, a 32-year-old Jamaican-born man who had cleaned engine rooms on cruise ships to pay for his university education walked into a financial institution and borrowed enough money to purchase $500,000 worth of shares. He had no inherited wealth. He had no safety net. He had the understanding, arrived at through years of studying successful investors, that the greatest returns come from concentrating capital into a single, well-researched idea and holding it long enough for compounding to do its work. The shares he bought were in NCB Financial Corporation. By 1987, they had appreciated 7-fold. He used those returns to acquire a small mutual fund company called AIC Limited, which at the time was managing just $800,000 in assets. Under his leadership, AIC grew to manage over $10 billion. He had become, by the early 2000s, the largest Black private sector investor in the history of Canadian finance. His name is Michael Lee-Chin. But the decision that most firmly ties his story to Jamaica came in 2002, when his holding company, Portland Holdings, acquired a controlling stake in the National Commercial Bank of Jamaica, the island's largest commercial bank. It was a deliberate return, a billionaire's bet on the island that had shaped him, at a price point that reflected his belief that Jamaica was being undervalued by the markets. That belief proved correct. The NCB stake has been the anchor of Lee-Chin's fortune ever since. In the Forbes 2025 World's Black Billionaires list, Michael Lee-Chin was ranked among the top names, with an estimated net worth of $1.1 billion. He is the only Jamaican in the world's top 3,000 wealthiest individuals. His personal real estate portfolio includes 250 acres of beachfront land in Ocho Rios. He donated 30 million Canadian dollars to the Royal Ontario Museum, one of the largest gifts ever made to a Canadian cultural institution, resulting in an entire wing bearing his name. His brother, Wayne Chen, leads the family's Jamaican retail operations through Super Plus Food Stores, a chain of over 30 supermarkets that controls a dominant share of the island's grocery market, alongside chairmanships of NCB Insurance Company and West Indies Trust Company. The Lee-Chin and Chen family represents the most complete, multi-generational wealth story Jamaica has produced. It begins with a Jamaican Chinese family in Port Antonio. It runs through a borrowed investment and a decade of compounding. It extends back to the island through one of its most important banks, and it stands today at over $1 billion in verified personal wealth for Michael Lee-Chin alone, as the undisputed summit of everything this island has built. If this video opened something for you, like it,
Share it with someone who needs to understand the real wealth of Jamaica. And subscribe. Drop in the comments, which family surprised you most?